Well, happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. Welcome to Cooped Up Live, should I say, my random timed podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call it. When I just talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about while we're waiting on folks to join. I am Cooped Up or coopedup.com is my website. You can visit that at any time. I'm getting out of practice on all my lines here. I'm Cooped Up is my handle in all the social places. Would love a follow wherever you are and wherever you watch or listen to this. It is on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, as well as rebroadcast in audio format on all the major podcasting platforms. In case you want to listen along in the car or on your jogs, click the bell, subscribe button, whatever it is called, so you don't miss a moment of the fun. Hey, Mama, how are you today? Hope you had a good weekend. I've not been here since last Monday. That was not my intention at all. I think was it on Friday? I planned to come live. And about middle of the day, I just started feeling like shit. And I think I'm not sick or anything, a little congested, but I think it's these cold fronts that started blowing in. And I'm not going to complain about them because dropped the temperature significantly. But I think the pressure building up behind them and then the allergens that came in just did me in. But I'm here now. And this week is going to be an interesting week because we've got Mason was off school today, and then I have a colonoscopy, my first one ever, on Thursday, and I'm not allowed to eat anything starting at the time I wake up Wednesday morning. And we have a parent meeting at Mason's new school Wednesday evening. That should be fun. Daddy Cooper irritated and hungry and all of that. And I'm supposed to start the medication you take at the same time as the meeting starts. I'm going to delay that a little. Hopefully an hour is not going to make that big of a difference of when I start shitting my brains out, but let me know if you know otherwise, please. So last week let's see what's happened since I last talked to y'all. Last week, we had the national emergency alert. I'm assuming everyone got that. I will tell you, it scared the shit out of me, and I even knew it was coming. Well, first of all, it came 2 minutes early. I'm like, dude, you had one job to do. Push the button at the right time. And I would assume it's computerized, but maybe not. But 2 minutes early is when I assume everyone else got it at the same time. But my phone and my Apple Watch, because my Apple Watch is a cellular Apple Watch, both of them just went off like bonkers, full volume, because I keep the volume off on everything. I don't have anything that dings, bings, and bangs. But full volume went off. And I was kind of dozing off a little bit, and that's probably why it scared me so much. But my wrist started just lighting up while I was doing it. And then I was on Facebook, and I didn't realize that there were a lot of conspiracy theories. These people need to get hobbies because they have amazing imaginations. Some of these conspiracy theories are so far-fetched and crazy that they would be better. The people who come up with them would have a much better value of time spent if they were to go into like fictional writing or some sort of art or something like that. Though the one I thought was the most interesting, was the one that if you were vaccinated, they put a microchip in you years ago. Keep in mind the vaccines have been out now for what, 2 years? 2 years, almost 3 years actually, come to think of it. Because didn't they start rolling out in like December of 2000? Because I think I got mine in January of 2000, maybe early February, but or 2001 rather, January or early February of 2001. But that 3 years ago, when they were developing the vaccines and starting to inject them in people and all that they were putting microchips in people. This is one of the conspiracy theories. Microchips were going into you that lay dormant, and that when they were going to do this emergency broadcast system thing, that it was going to activate the chips so that they could have like mind control or turn us into zombies or something. I don't remember the specifics on that. I think it was mind control. And I'm like, why? First of all, Cletus, why do you think anyone is trying to control your mind? You barely have one. So there's that. And then somebody else I saw had a conspiracy theory that it was trying to distract people away from they were switching over some sort of like surveillance system that they all watch us on. Again, if you were watching all, I mean, even on here, I literally actually broadcast to people. But in my daily life, if you were so interested in what I'm doing that you were watching, I'm like, knock yourself out. Obviously, I'm not a private person all that much, but uh, how did they? This is yeah, exactly, Monica. They're like, how did they know the broadcast was going to happen years ago? That's what I'm saying. The creativity. They had to write like a fucking story arc, like they had to be like, okay, season 1 of the pandemic, we're gonna scare everybody. Season 2, we're gonna give them the vaccines, but we're gonna make sure we have to do it 3 times. And then in season 4, we're going to control their brains. I mean, it was like they knew from the beginning. That's the thing, is that there's the amount of energy and the amount of forethought that is required to go into all of these. It just blows my mind. And usually, what's Joachim's razor or Joachim's razor, something like that. Joachim's razor is no, or is it theory? Well, whatever it is that the simplest answer is usually the correct one. That's the basis of that. I could be paraphrasing. This is not a science lesson, but that the simplest answer is usually the correct one. Like, that is a very, very complicated plan and biding your time too, like to control our minds. And to have started it during another administration. That's the other thing, is they're like, the Biden government's gonna, because it's always the conservative crazies. Although this is where the anti-vax stuff is, where the conservative crazies and the super liberal crazies, their Venn diagrams overlapped a lot more than I think that they're even comfortable with it. But that they would have thought about this mind control, it must be some deep state thing that is irrelevant to party or who's in governance. Because a lot of people, it's the Biden administration's attempt to control us or whatever. Well, all of this started under Trump, right? So we've already had a full transition. We've had a coup. We've had all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I just thought it was, just reading those things, I was like, and I had no idea. I was completely clueless that any of these conspiracy theories existed until I started looking into them. Like, oh shit. Wow. Okay. So anyway, but again, Monica, the planning that would have to go into making half of these things work, very, 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 very detailed. And how would here's my other thing on conspiracy theories, right? The number of people required to keep it a secret. Like, there are so many, I mean, I'm sure there are things in our government that we don't know about, like aliens, or when we've truly been at risk for something. I mean, I would say that the biggest theory that I saw was, why are they testing it now? What do they know? Why do they think they're going to need to notify us of something? And I can agree with that one. That was like, is there an asteroid headed our way? Are the aliens about to reanimate? That another conspiracy theory and secret is the aliens are going to reanimate or something. Like, the time is up that we're holding them captive at Area 51 or wherever we hold them active. So anyway, but the number of people required to keep things a secret, it's really, really hard to do that. So anyway, Thursday night we were at a party. It was at a restaurant here called Carbone, an anniversary party for a law firm. Rented out the whole place. It was gorgeous, beautiful, food amazing, drinks amazing, setting amazing. All of it was amazing. And I'm sure pricey too. But we're there, and there's a bunch of people that I know there. And I'm talking to this guy that I know him, like I know his name. I probably could pick out his house in our neighborhood if I needed to. I'm not exactly sure what street he's on, but if I walked up and down all of the streets, I could probably point to which one was his house. I don't know his kids' names, but I know he has kids. I know his wife, I only memorized her name not too long ago. So long story short, don't know them super well. And this guy, I walk up and he's like, he's like, "Oh, is Weight Watchers getting the commission on all the promotion you've been doing for it?" And I'm like, and I'm like, "Oh, no, no, no. I was just sharing my stories, whatever." If you don't know what I'm talking about, on Instagram, I was sharing two things last week. I shared about the 1 year anniversary of my weight loss journey, losing 35 pounds, my health, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's the day I broadcast live here too. And then later in the week, I broadcast some parenting advice that I had learned just sitting in the carpool line, just talking to the camera, right? And so this guy then starts talking about that also, about the parenting advice kind of stuff. And his wife was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh, Cooper on his stories, blah, 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 blah. And he said this, that, and the other." And she was like, "Do I know you? You're like, when are you watching people's stories on Instagram?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I do it, blah, blah, blah." And it wasn't anything bad. It was just, he's such a really straight-laced guy. And she was just like, "What?" And even Todd was like, "What?" So afterwards, Todd was like, "Cooper, I'm impressed. You got more of an audience than I thought." So it just made me laugh. So I have a fan. Thank you for being a fan. Monica is saying, "I'd be okay if I got cloned and my clone only wanted to do housework." I'd be fine if I got cloned and they only wanted, yes. For me, it honestly, if I could just I wish there was a robot or something that could fold clothes. I don't even mind gathering the clothes. I don't mind washing the clothes. I don't mind putting them in the dryer. It is the folding clothes part that just I hate. I hate folding clothes. And the problem is, so we used to have a housekeeper who did our laundry also, in addition to cleaning the house. The problem, well, especially now that we've got 4 basically grown-ass people in the house, which remind me, that reminds me of another topic. So all this, so the housekeeper started just only, like, everything else in the house was going by the wayside because she's spending so much time on the laundry part, right? That makes sense. I mean, ours still wash the sheets and the towels and all that, but when they start washing the clothes, that just dominates too much of it, right? And so I told Todd, I was like, "I'll just do it. It'll be fine." I do it like every 2 weeks. We own enough clothes that we can probably go easily 2 weeks without starting to make tough decisions like, do I wear my bathing suit or do I wear my underwear today? Like that sort of thing. I think I own 20 pairs of underwear. I counted them just to kind of time it out, Um, but that's the robot I want. And I'm guessing that doesn't, are there even automatic clothes folding machines? Like dry cleaners, do they have those? To me, I'm guessing that the reason that they may or may not exist is that clothes are in so many different sizes and shapes and patterns and all that kind of stuff that it would be really hard to, aside from maybe like a t-shirt, and even then it would be hard to systemize. So David, thank you. We're all fans. I appreciate that. And Monica hates all housework. I know. I I can't talk about the housework part. I don't do any of my own housework. So what else? We went out to eat for lunch, just kind of on the topic of 4 grown-ass people in the house. I did not realize until this weekend how expensive it is to go out to eat with teenagers. And I know we've been doing it. We don't eat out all that often. And when we do, it's usually for dinner. And there's usually some wine involved. So a higher price tag, I usually can like rationalize in my brain or just not really pay attention to or whatever. But the 4 of us went on, what was this, on Saturday? Yeah, after Mason's cross-country meet. On Saturday, we went to Chips Hamburgers, which is this kind of, it's burgers, salads, chicken tenders, that sort of thing. The one here in our neighborhood is kind of like a beer garden setup. They've got like picnic tables outside. It's really, really pretty. And that's why we went there. So for the 4 of us to have lunch, I think the kids each had, Mason had tacos. Claire had a hamburger, plain and dry. And then Todd and I each had Cobb salads. And then the kids both had milkshakes. And then Todd and I each had iced tea or something like that, right? The bill came out to, I think it was like $85 for the 4 of us. And this is not an expensive place. I mean, it's not like McDonald's cheap, but it's not an expensive place. but $85 for the 4 of us. I was like, shit. And Todd's like, well, welcome to having 4 grown-ass people eating on the tab. So it was not $125, but approaching that. It was $85. Did I say $125? I didn't mean to if I did. But but I was shocked though at that amount. And this is like order at a counter and all that stuff. And this is also tipping culture. I am post tipping at this point. Like I will tip if it is I am sitting down, you take my order, you bring me my food, all of this kind of stuff, right? My thing is if I am at the counter and I'm ordering it and you're going to hand it to me when you call my name at the counter and I have to serve myself a drink and all of that, and you pop up on the screen that you want me to tip you 20%, that's not going to happen. Drives me insane. And I know some people will be like, well, they don't make enough money. Well, and then I'm here complaining about the price. Long story short, if things cost what they need to cost, let's just make things cost what they need to cost so that everyone has a livable wage. I know many of us won't like that, but the Chick-fil-A for 2 is almost $30. Really? I just don't. Here's the funny thing. I barely eat out anymore. The pandemic has gotten me eating at home all the time. The most we eat out on the regular is Monday night. So tonight, I pre-order Panda Express to pick up from the Panda Express place next to where Claire has roller derby, and I bring home the family meal, Panda Express meal, so that we can eat afterwards. And that's kind of our tradition is Panda Express for that because it's right there. Kid 1 always wants sushi. Kid 2 wants steaks. They think we have a ton of extra money to spend on food since they're no longer home. Wrong. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to, it's not that, yeah, they think you have extra money. They're also trying to recoup, like, this is the nicest, my guess is it's the nicest meal they have when you're not around, or nicer than any meal they have when you're not around, probably. I vaguely remember that from when my grandparents would visit when I was at SMU, and they'd be like, where do you want to eat? And it was always like, Texas Land and Cattle, which isn't even that nice of a restaurant. But I missed that place. I really liked Texas Land and Cattle. It was reliable, consistent, good food, not super expensive, but still like decent steaks, right? Anyway, on the thing of food, Saturday night, I've been wanting to make this recipe called $1 Million Spaghetti for months, right? It's a Southern Living recipe. I saw someone post about it on one of my socials about how much they like it and all that kind of stuff. And I looked it up. I was like, oh my God, that looks good. And basically, if I were to say what it is basically like making a lasagna, but it is out of spaghetti noodles instead of the wiggly lasagna noodles. And you don't have to layer. You just cook the spaghetti, put it in the bottom of the baking dish. Then you put this meat sauce that you make on top of it. No, you put this cheese mix that you make on, which is ricotta, cream cheese, and Parmesan. You spread that out over it. There's some butter somewhere in it. Then you have this meat sauce that you make with sirloin and sausage and a jar of rouse and some onions and some garlic. Make that, you pour that on, and then you just top it with mozzarella and you throw it in the oven like a spaghetti casserole, if you will. It was so fucking good. And if you Google $1 million spaghetti, you'll find the recipe. The one that I used was from Southern Living. So good. And it kind of tasted like lasagna, but the consistency was a little bit different because the noodles it didn't spread as much like on the first night as lasagna does. I love lasagna on the second day. First day I love it, but it doesn't stand upright as much. How did Todd like it? He loved it. I had one kid who was like, but he's just being a dick these days. So I think I don't think it had anything to do with the food. Yes. Although, Monica, I am very glad I did not make this when we were in San Antonio together, because while it wasn't super involved, it did involve a lot of pots and pans. Because I had to boil the spaghetti first, and I had to make the meat sauce, and I also had to make the cheese mixture. And so that right there was already 3, and then the baking dish. And then obviously the plates and the serving stuff and all of that. So I felt a little bit bad that it was Claire's night to do dishes, because she thinks that there's a conspiracy. That girl's on a conspiracy theory thing too. She thinks there's a conspiracy that the nights that she is in charge of cooking or of washing dishes, because they do 1 week on, 1 week off. Mason's in charge of dishes, Claire's in charge of trash. And then the next week, Claire's in charge of trash, Mason's in charge of dishes. And Claire is convinced that we have the messiest dishes, and we only clean out the refrigerator when it is her weekend to do it. And you're right, Monica, there weren't enough pots and pans. We would have had to buy some. Anyway, what else? Oh, I won $12 on Powerball on Saturday. I play the lottery only when it is really big. And so right now I am playing both Powerball and Mega Millions, because here's my thing. And I've told you all this before. If I have the same numbers that I play anytime I play the lottery, they're lucky numbers or combinations thereof. And my thing is, for $3 a ticket, because I just buy one, it only takes one to win. For $3, it is peace of mind that those numbers that have been my lucky number forever, 26 is my lucky number, and then the numbers are kind of mixes and matches of that. That if that were the winning thing, I just don't know that I could live with myself, even if it were like $1 million winner, especially on these big, highly publicized ones. Because what's it now at $1.5 billion, maybe $1.6 billion? And I think it's Saturdays, Mondays, and is it Thursdays, Wednesdays? So tonight, I believe there is a drawing. I use the Jack Pocket app. Let me see what they say when the drawing is and what it's up to now. But I haven't won anything in months on it. Not even like $2-3. And this last time I won $12. Yeah, Powerball is tonight. It is $1.55 billion. Look at that. And Mega Millions, what is that up to? Mega Millions is at 20 million. Oh, someone must have won that one. It's at 20 million. But all right, so $12. Maybe it's the start of my luck. I'm hoping this is like the prime and the pump for the winnings. Let's hope. I have all of you who watch regularly, I promise I'll make it worth it to you. If I have to bribe people to watch this shit, I will. Because you think I'm obnoxious now. Imagine Daddy Cooper with $1.5 billion. That's some cooped up craziness right there. Prime Days, Amazon Prime Days start tomorrow. Walmart, and they're Tuesday and Wednesday are Amazon Prime Days, the big sales, all that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff that is already in Amazon's orbit, like Ring cameras, alarms, Blink. I'm trying to think of what else they own. Are all things that are big time sale. Amazon Basics, which I am a huge fan of Amazon Basics, by the way. Batteries, all kinds. They make anything Amazon Basics, and I'm convinced that it is just brand name stuff that they have either reverse engineered or just paid the brand name for, because most of it's good quality, super cheap prices. Even the clothes. One of my favorite pairs of pants is an Amazon Basics like pair of camo pants that I think I bought for like $12. Like, it's crazy. Walmart, in an effort to compete against it, started today their Walmart Savings Days, or whatever they call it. And it's like today, tomorrow, and I think Wednesday, or maybe it's the whole week. Monica's reporting in, this just in, that the Walmart one has been meh. Yeah, I saw something. The one thing I did look at was already sold out when I looked at it at like 6:30 this morning. It was something. I think that Drew Barrymore Beautiful collection, that beautiful line, is so beautiful. I think it is very tasteful. I like the designs of everything. I think she's done a great job with it. From what I have seen of it, the quality is much better than you would expect from a Walmart purchase. So I'm there for it. But all the stuff that they mark down, and it's a Walmart store brand. So I'm assuming that would be something that they maybe continue to mark down. If you see any of it, let me know. But all the stuff I saw was selling out like almost instantly. And then I'm going to finish with this. I was unsure if I was going to talk about this today, So I had something weird happen earlier today, and I am if you happen to be listening to this and this is about you, I don't think you follow me or anything like that. I mean, no offense or anything like that. I'm just externally processing the situation. Y'all are like, please tell us more. So Mason was invited because he had no school today. Claire did, but Mason did not. He was invited to go to the State Fair of Texas and with friends. Like, so and so is going. Does Mason want to come with us? Right? Or do you want? Or can we take Mason? That's what they said. Can we take Mason? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, sure, sounds great. I've got to work on Monday, so sounds wonderful. So he has cross country practice this morning. Gets back, cleaned up. They were going to pick him up at I think 11. Yeah. And ready by 11, they get here, and as they're pulling away, the mom says, "Oh, you're still good to pick him up at 3 o'clock at Fair Park, aren't you?" And I'm like, that's news to me. And I was like, I'll figure it out. I was like, oh yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I had a meeting at 2 that I had to cut short. I was 10 minutes late to pick him up, fight traffic over there, all that kind of stuff. I had to figure out the boy doesn't know how to read a map or doesn't want to know how to read a map, I think. And so telling him which gate to go to and all that was the thing. So here is my thing. So was I negligent in not specifically asking if, since they picked him up at our house, if they would be returning him to our house? Because to me, saying, oh, we'll take him to the fair doesn't mean the absence of and bring him home doesn't mean that is not the intention, right? To me, if I take your kid to the movie, I'm bringing him home. If I take your kid to the fair, I'm bringing him home. If I take your kid to the mall, I'm bringing him home, right? And again, I'm not ranting, although it sounds like I'm getting worked up a little bit. But the absence of the pickup time or anything that in prior conversations, thank God my schedule was flexible enough to do it. But I was like, did I miss out? And I've read the text chain like 300 times trying to see where I went wrong. And anyway, I'm just, like I said, externally processing this. I am not wrong. That's my favorite answer. You are not wrong, Cooper. Thank you, Monica. We had a similar thing happen, and this one I can understand. So years and years and years ago, our friends Vernon and Chris invited. I got a text from Vernon, who's British, by the way. That's important to this story. Chris is not. Chris is American. Vernon texted me saying, hey, do y'all want to go see this concert with us, right? And it was the one, something, something in the Man. They had a really famous song. It's like one hit wonder thing. It was at this like standing room only venue down in Deep Ellum. We were young enough at the time. I think we had kids, but they were still young and we had to get a babysitter and all that kind of stuff, right? So they were like, okay, we can go have dinner beforehand, all that kind of stuff, right? And so we go to dinner, actually one of my favorite dinners in all of Dallas. It's in this place called it's a back secret dining room that has a whole different kitchen and menu than it's called the Pura Petra room. That's what it's called. And it's behind this taco shop. And you walk down this hallway, you look for the Princess Leia cutout, and there's a door. You walk in, completely other tiny little 18-person restaurant in the back, right? The Pura Petra room. That's what it was called. Fantastic meal, all of that. So we have that dinner there. It was Chris and Vernon, me and Todd, and then 2 other people. So 6 of us. We're having this dinner, and then we leave, and then we walk to the concert venue, and we're standing there, and Todd says to Chris, let us know how much we owe you for the tickets. And Chris gets this like, oh shit look on his face. And the other couple also says the same, oh yeah. We'll just, and this was before Venmo, so I don't remember how we paid people back then, but whatever the equivalent of the day, we'll PayPal you back in the day, probably the money. And Chris goes, y'all didn't buy tickets? And we're like, what? And Chris looks at Vernon and goes, Vernon, not again. So this has obviously happened to them before. So in England, when someone invites you to in England, when someone invites you to like go to a concert or go to something like that, it is assumed, and I would say concerts or shows are probably very different than just like going to the movies or something like that. But if someone invites you to go to a concert, everyone just buys their own tickets independently of each other and goes together, especially if it's like a general admission type concert. In America, my understanding, at least this is how I interpret it, is if I invite you to a concert, it means that I have or will be procuring all of the tickets, whether you pay me back or not, right? Like I'm the organizer. I'm like, hey, y'all want to go to Janet Jackson? I'll get lawn seats, right? That's kind of how that is. And that means I'm getting lawn seats for everyone who wants to come versus everyone just buying their own, right? But in England, it doesn't. In England, it just means we're going to go together to the concert. So I don't think that is the same thing, though. In this situation, David is chiming in. If I pick up your kid, it is assumed that I will drop them off unless otherwise discussed. That's what I'm saying. I'm not mad. I'm not venting. If this gets back to that person, I am not shaming you. I also have said no names. I think I've only gendered it once. So anyway, I just thought that was a funny story. Anyway, so all right, well, I got to get going. Claire's got roller derby. She is auditioning. I don't know if that's so. I keep using like theater words with this roller derby shit. So like on Sunday, she has a bout on Sunday in Oklahoma City that we've got to go to, and I keep saying, oh, she was cast to play in the bout this Sunday, and she was rostered. She was put on the roster. I don't know. Tonight they're trying out. I keep saying auditioning. They're trying out for this new travel team, which is going to go to far-flung places like Columbia, South Carolina, and Denver and stuff like that. Still not sure we want to do it, but the tryouts are tonight, so she's doing that, and that starts at 6:00. So I need to get in on that. So thank you, Mom. Love you. And it is called Trying Out. Thank you, Monica. Alrighty, well, with that, I'm going to say bye. I love you. It's important to know you were loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me externally process. And until I see you next time, take care of yourself. Don't should yourself to death. No good comes from should. And I'll see you next time on Cooped Up, should I say. Talk to you later. Bye.